Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining and welcome back. Our guest today is a very good friend, David Morgan, the publisher of the Morgan Report and a legend in the silver industry. Welcome back, sir.
We'll be with you, Ivan. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much for, coming down to speaking to the silver and gold community. There's so much excitement happening right now in precious metals. A lot of people have been looking at silver right now. In the past week or so, they've been witnessing either, a breakout, and now it feels like it's going sideways. What are your thoughts right now on silver?
Well, you had me on not that long ago, and if I recall correctly, I've been saying, about 2 months ago, I called gold had basically peaked for a while, and that I saw it going sideways through the summer and possibly till the end of the year. And so far, that's been proven right. I still see it that way, and of course, people will say, "Well, wait a minute, this war thing with in the Middle East, and the Ukraine thing kind of in the background now with what's going on with Israel and Iran, and there's lots of reasons to think that the precious metal should move. Oil should be moving like crazy, which it has moved up, but it also sold off very recently. Point being is that these markets are more or less managed, believe it or not. Uh, they don't move on things that you would expect them to. And when you see, this massive back and forth in the Middle East, and you would think, that's good for a $50 price increase in gold minimum, maybe 100. And
Right.
there's nothing incorrect with that thinking. It's just I've been around these markets, as you well know, over 4 decades, and I've seen this happen time and time again, where the expectations are not met, and then you've got to ask why. And that goes into, you got to put a hat on and all that stuff, which I have one here, but I'm not sure I'll put it on yet. So again, I think we're seeing one market out of the four precious metals is moving pretty much on physical demand, and that's platinum. Platinum's at something like, I don't know, 10-year high or greater, and it made another um, nominal high today. And I think it's some of the analysts that I trust that are not, just commentators looking for $1,500 platinum by the end of this year, Ivan, which
Wow.
that's a 50% move in 1 year. That's a pretty big move for any market, a stock, especially a commodity. So will it or won't it? I don't know, but we're pushing toward 1,400 as we speak. So I'm still bullish on it, but maybe a little bit late to get in it. I was sitting there buying it under 1,000, a little over 1,000, averaging in, and just thinking, darn, is this market ever going to move? And but I felt the downside was almost zero because the true cost of platinum is about 1,200. I know you want to talk about silver, but let me go on in a couple of minutes longer. And so if I'm buying it at 1,000 and mine's at 1,200, I don't have much downside.
No.
And then finally, it's taken off. And really looking back at the chart, I really timed it pretty darn well because, maybe a year hold in a market, you look at the last like 15 years, you wouldn't want to hold it that long. I'll put it that way. Anyway, back to you.
What do you think makes gold and silver, such an enduring store of value throughout history, David?
Well, I really think that it has a lot to do with the part of the market that we don't talk about a lot, although I do, and you and I have had these conversations um, privately. But it's the idea that freedom and honest money basically go hand in hand. I mean, the first casualty of a rigged monetary system is that you lose trust. In a genuinely free society, individuals make choices based on trust, and that trust is the value of their labor and their savings and their investments, and it will hold steady over time. And if it doesn't, in a rigged monetary system, it breaks that trust. And when more and more people realize that, more and more people become something they can trust. Well, gold and silver have been trusted for, you could pick your number, 2,500 years, some say 5,000. I mean, certainly there's more trust in these pieces of metal than there has been in an edict by mankind, no matter what the empire ruling at the time is. And many of the empires use precious metals. And then the Roman Empire. And then, of course, they started to debase the currency. They would take in all the silver and then put in gross metal with it and remint it and pretend it had the same value as the original. Of course, it didn't. So, a
Right.
rigged monetary system breaks that whole trust paradigm. And when central banks manipulate interest rates and take currency and quietly devalue it over time until it gets to the point where most people don't, or do rather, do recognize it, that, oh my goodness, groceries are costing me more every time I go. And that erosion affects everything: savings account, medical bills, housing prices. It reaches into how people actually live. So I think that's something that, you and I have taught for a long time. Many of us do more than just extol the virtues of having real money. There is that aspect to it that's all important, and that is we need to have a system where we can trust each other. Let's just go to the war for a minute. And I really don't want to talk about it much. It's your show. I'll answer any question you can give me. But you sign a treaty, and you trust the other party to adhere to it. And if they don't, then that trust is broken.
Right.
And once you, and I have a more or less theory. Robert Prechter has written a couple of books on socioeconomics, and he's the only one I know of. I'm sure there's probably others that have really documented that there's a direct correlation between the degradation of the money, the devaluation of a currency, and the degradation of society at large. So the worse the money system gets debased, the worse the moral structure of the society. That's what I would say, probably in a couple sentences, the most important thing that we really should bear in mind.
Welcome to the Cayman Islands, a premier offshore jurisdiction where natural beauty meets financial stability. Here, your wealth is more than secure. It thrives in one of the most trusted and respected financial centers in the world. For over a decade, SWP has been the trusted choice for precious metal investors worldwide. Our purpose-built 6,000 square foot facility sets a new standard in precious metal storage. We are proud to be one of the only vault operators approved by the London Bullion Market Association. Beyond safeguarding your assets, we're committed to making a difference in our community by supporting local causes and events that reflect our values. As we continue to expand and innovate our services, we ensure that your wealth is safe and strategically positioned to shield you from the uncertainties that lie ahead. Strategic wealth preservation, trusted today and ready for tomorrow.
What's not looking at precious metals, but just looking, whether it's geopolitically or just even in the markets, what's concerning you right now, David? Is it bonds? Is it interest rates being too high for too long? What's your biggest concern right now that you're looking at?
Well, in a market alone, I'd say the bond market, that's always been my biggest concern. But I think it's bigger than that in a way because it's the economy. I mean, the financial markets are markets, but the economy is what you and I do to survive or to have a good life. And that's, shelter, transportation, communication, what we get to eat, what choices we have. And the whole economy on a global basis is basically contracting, which means there's less stuff while we're increasing the population. So more people and less stuff. That means generally you're going to have a lower living standard across the board. That doesn't mean there won't be some super rich that are having better lifestyle, but on aggregate, on average, everyone's lifestyle is going to go down.
Right.
And then you're going to get in a situation where you start to look more and more at what the true values are. In other words, getting, let's say, not being able to eat the diet you want because you can't afford it, or getting a secondhand car that really needs to be sold off and purchase a new one, but you can't make the payment, or that type of thing. So, that's the biggest thing is a contraction in the economy. And of course, AI is going to save us. All you have to do is use AI for everything and let it feed us and create our transportation and communication, wash our dishes, you know, do our oil changes. I mean, come on. I mean, you're young. AI is the way to go, baby.
Oh yeah, it
It's
is
going
the
to
way.
solve every problem out there.
Even when you're talking to, I even hear about lawyers. You'll get an email from them, or I have a few lawyer friends, and they're like, "Oh, we use AI for our emails." I'm like, "You guys are lawyers." Oh yeah, it's absolutely crazy right now. Hello, my fellow silver and gold stacker. I just wanted to say thank you so much for watching the channel. Subscribe, please like the video, and also hit the notification bell. keep stacking. So David, what would you say to, I guess the new investors looking at precious metals, looking to get into silver and gold? And I know you've given this advice before, but what would you give them a little bit differently advice like for avoiding in precious metals? Would you tell them to avoid the paper stocks? What would you tell them to do?
Well, I wrote the 10 rules of silver investing over 20 years ago, and it's pretty easy to find. I actually made a couple of videos on it, but the original document is out there for free for everybody. So if you just use a search engine, 10 rules of silver investing, David Morgan, you'll find it. But the main rule is basically to stay away from rare coins unless that's your specialty and buy dollar cost average over time. Before you ask the question, I thought about it for that answer, which is my best answer. The other answer would be if you're new, start small. That's in the 10 rules. And get some, though. So, in other words, if you're looking at it now and you're just kind of waking up to the precious metal story or, fiat empire, what happens at the age of these demises with fiat currency, and you say, oh, geez, I should have bought silver when it was at 20, or I should have bought gold when it was at 2000.
Yeah.
And looking backwards, I could have said I should have bought Bitcoin when it was $100, right? I mean, we all can look back and say, but ifs and buts for candy and nuts, it'd be Christmas every day. You haven't heard that saying in a while.
No.
So the deal is you got to have some. You've got to have some real money, or you could potentially have a hardship. And the money metals aren't going to save you, but they could save your financial future, depending on where you start. So I would say just jump in, but don't jump in with everything. People hear the story, and this, as you know, I mean, we had a huge bear market. I mean, we went up 11 years, couldn't do any wrong. The stocks did well, the metals did well, silver outperformed gold several of those years. And then we hit the peak in 2011 with silver last day of April or first day of May 2011. 4 months later, gold peaked. And from that point, it's been a pretty long ride going down and back up and kind of sideways. So the point being is that now that the market has reestablished itself in a bull market, and platinum has confirmed the bull market, silver's confirming the bull market, it's now, what do I do? Well, actually, the best thing psychologically is get in because it's going to continue up. It may go sideways, maybe the rest of the year, as I just outlined. Probably not. I think gold will probably make a break to the upside in the fall. August is usually the lowest prices for gold historically. Does
Right.
it guarantee this year? But the main thing is to start a savings plan in real metal, in real money. And that's easily accomplished in silver, not so easily in gold, although, there are electronic forms of gold, which I wouldn't really recommend. I mean, there are, different platforms that digitize gold and silver. I would say that's a tool you could use in the future, but I wouldn't consider it to be a primary investment. Primary investment is what you
Yeah.
hold in your hand.
Yeah, no, you absolutely nailed it, David. Now, before you go, I'm going to put your links in the description below. Where can people find you?
Best place is our main page, themorganreport.com. Be sure to get on the free email list. If you're interested in subscribing, just hit the subscribe tab and you can go through the different levels of services. And for those that are like not interested in the reports, which is fine with me, I do consult, and that happens. It goes in streaks, really. If there's a big banking crisis, I'll get it 3 in 1 month. Things are kind of copacetic. I might not get any consultations for 3 or 4 months.
Right.
But if you are inclined and you're going to make a big purchase, let's say, and you don't want to make a rookie mistake, I've had several of those calls, people that, especially after a banking conundrum, that'll call up and say, hey, I've got pretty substantial savings and I'm exposed, way too exposed to the banks. And I want to mitigate that risk, but I don't want to make a big mistake. Can you tell me what to do? And of course I can. And so that's one thing. And I don't need to promote myself too much, but a lot of people overlook that because they don't really want to read. They got a pension or whatever the case may be.
Right.
But they do want to buy metals, a lot of it at one time, and not mess it up. And believe me, there are some, and as well as me, there's some folks out there that do not have the client's best interest at heart.
Absolutely. No, I totally, I agree with you. David, it's such a huge pleasure having you come down to speaking to the silver and gold community. As always, I'm going to put the links in the description below. Everyone watching this, highly please, I recommend checking out David, checking out all the website. And I highly recommend you to subscribe to his email list as well. Thank you so much, David, for coming down to speaking to everyone. And as the market develops, as always, would love to have you back on.
Thanks, Evan. Always good to be with you. Thank you.
Talk to you soon.